Seated. So like I said, it's senior moment time, something we look forward to and a treat for which you are in for. I got to see them already once. So as you know, our seniors every year give us a little taste of where they've come from, where they're at, where they're going, and we're going to make our way through that list in the bulletin in a little bit out of order, but Connor's going first.
Okay, so I'm Connor Knudson. I graduated from Eastern Hancock from Morristown. I was baptized and confirmed in the Lutheran Church. We're going to start off by a little life story. We've been out in Oregon for a little week. The past week, we had to hurry up and get here. So, during our annual sheep touring trip to the West Coast, we deliver ewes and rams from Indiana to Oregon, and depending on the list, anywhere in between. During our trip, the farthest west point is a stop at the Ashbeck Ranch in Echo, Oregon. Tag and Mitch, the owners of the ranch, have been raising cattle and sheep since before my father was even born. Happy Father's Day, by the way. And we have been lucky enough to service their sheep needs for the past 10 plus years. Every year, the Ashbecks start their annual cattle drive, bringing in all the children, grandchildren, and siblings related to Mitch and Tag, and drive over 150 cow-calf pairs to the top of the Blue Mountains, and over 19 miles of winding hills, steep terrain, and many obstacles to overcome. The reason this story is important is that through what I have experienced for the past 18 years, I've learned that life is a lot like a cattle drive through the mountains. No matter how much you prepare or how much experience you may have, sometimes you'll hit one of these many obstacles head on. Maybe you'll run into rain and the freezing cold temperatures that make you question all the decisions that you made up until that point. Sometimes there's a stray that forces you to retreat and take a step backwards just so you can continue to climb up the mountain. And sometimes there's a turkey that flies up out of the brush and spooks the herd so bad that they stampede right back at your face. No matter what obstacle you encounter during your cattle drive, it's the most important choice is to stand your ground and to do things in spite of whatever obstacle, problem, or surprise happens to jump out of your brush and cause a stampede in your life. Sometimes during these stampedes, we question ourselves and ask if we're really up for the task ahead. And with trust and a little faith, we all know that the strength and knowledge of God always has our back, even if it's not always the most apparent thing. During our trip back down the mountain, after our job was done, we were definitely not out of the woods yet. Tag, our trail master and lifelong veteran of the mountain, decided to take the road back to the bottom and not the trail. After walking aimlessly down the hill for a little bit, our trusted 9-year-old tour guide, Leo, decided to take the way down the hill and lead us. After about 45 minutes of trotting our horses seemingly nowhere, I was beginning to get a little worried, to say the least. At this point, we had to make the decision to either keep going or to cut bait and make our way back down the same way we had come and hope to find our mistake. Mike and I, the only 2 people in the group over the age of 9, decided to trust our not-so-veteran tour guide and continue down the mountain. In the end, we finally made it to the bottom, just at the camp where we had started. This part of the story is important because it doesn't matter how strong or brave or reluctant to quit that you are. If you don't put a little trust and a little faith in your tour guide in life, you will never make it back to the bottom of the mountain. You'll be walking aimlessly, stuck somewhere in the mountain of life. On this mountain, we all need a tour guide, and for many of us, our trusted and veteran tour guide is God. Sometimes your tour guide changes from the form of Tag to the form of a 9-year-old cowboy, but allowing yourself to put your trust in God and believe that no matter how long or windy or difficult your path may be, or how many turkeys randomly jump out of the brush, it will allow you to navigate through this mountain and complete your cattle drive. I'm continuing my journey at Blackhawk East in Kewanee, Illinois. We got scholarships to judge livestock, so that's it.
Hi, my name is Hunter Knudson. I attended Eastern Hancock High School for 4 years. I participated in football all 4 years of high school. I was part of the FFA chapter for the school. Within FFA, I also participated in the livestock judging team since 7th grade. I've competed at all levels of the livestock judging. We've competed at national levels. Sadly, this last year, as you guys may know, COVID hit pretty bad, and one of our contests was canceled, and this was one that we worked all year for. And it was pretty sad to find out that something like that could be gone in an instant, but thankfully when God closes doors, he opens new ones, and you have experiences that you never thought you could have received. And when we were turned away from a national contest, we were actually able to do a virtual contest. And this is so special to me because you can technically only go to Denver once, but with COVID, we were able to go there twice. And both times we went there, we went first place as a team. So this is why you never dwell on the fact that something gets canceled, but excited for what's to come. One of my favorite memories from Cross of Grace would have to be confirmation. Not only was it a big deal for my family, but also myself. It was a fun experience. We got to create our own goblet. It was cool because it could be anything that you wanted it to be. It was your own creation. You didn't have to make it like based on a template. It was your own thing. And this would probably be my favorite memory. One thing that I like about being Lutheran is although that is steeped in tradition, the church continues to embrace and evolve in a progressing, ever-changing world. They have always strived to stay current and understand the problems that we face today, but we have updated ways of doing things. Obviously, people are different. The Lutheran Church continues to embrace diversity. This is why there's different denominations, but Lutheran fits me, and it's just what I like to do. In the future, I plan on attending Blackhawk East on a full-ride scholarship to study in the field of sports management. For my first 2 years, I will be a part of the livestock judging team. After that, I plan on transferring to a 4-year school. At this point, I'm undecided on the next school, but I have some in mind. Ideally, I would like to work in the NFL. I love football and have played it my whole life. I've played it since the 2nd grade, and it's always something that I liked and enjoyed. As some of you know, I've had some knee problems along the way. Both were found out playing football. Neither were directly caused by it. I can say that after 3 surgeries and a lot of recovery, my knees are in much better shape than they were. My first surgery was in September of my freshman year. It was fairly simple and recovery was easy. My second surgery was much different. It was much more serious. It took about 2 years for this one to recover. And for my third surgery, I'm still in recovery, but it's recovering well. And the reason I'm saying this is because the person that helped me through all of this, he's helped me in my everyday life, he's helped me in livestock judging, and most importantly, he's helped me recovering from these knee surgeries. It hasn't been easy, but there's challenges in everyone's life. God is one that helps you through these challenges, and he's helped me to be the person I am today. He helps me continue with all these adventures and experiences ahead. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ethan Haeberle, and if you hadn't already guessed, I graduated this year. I attended New Palestine High School for all 4 years of my high school career, during which I played tennis, played drums for various bands, and participated in the Best Buddies organization. Throughout high school, Cross of Grace has always been a strong community of people that I felt proud to call myself part of, and for that, I owe many folks here today a big thanks. From all the late-night post-choir rehearsals with Dave and Susan, to early Sunday in the freezing winds, Cross of Grace has always been a place to grow and become a better person. Not only have I thoroughly enjoyed playing as a member of the band, but I've truly appreciated being part of a church that is so accepting and is full of great people. Cross of Grace showed me that church isn't a competition of faith or a game of keeping score, but rather a place to share experiences and grow as a person. As incredible as Cross of Grace has been, like the rest of the seniors here, I'll be moving away for college in the fall. Come August 14th, I'll be moving to West Lafayette to study integrated business and engineering at Purdue. And as hard as it will be to move away from all this, I don't want to look at it like a goodbye, but more like a see you later. Although I won't be able to spend every Sunday with the band anymore, I still look forward to playing on every break that I can and taking part in serving as much as possible throughout my college years. Other than that, I want to say thank you to all of you for being wonderful people and allowing me to feel accepted within my faith. I can't wait to see what the future holds. Thank you.
We have a couple more who couldn't be here in person. Jackson Schwartz was here at first service, so we're gonna play the recording of what he said at first service, but our internet went out because of the storm, so it's a little glitchy. You can hear it better than you can see it. What he says is more important than what he looks like. He didn't dress up nearly as well as Ethan did. So bear with it, but you'll be able to hear what matters most.
I just want to say that what Ethan was referring to earlier was my idea to dress up, and just want to say thank you for dressing up for the rest of us. So, all right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jackson Schwartz. I went to New Pal, which is 2.6 miles that way. During high school, I put most of my effort into swimming, which I did year-round. I've competed in both school swimming and club swimming, so my calendar was pretty full of things that I had to be at. I would like to give a shout-out to my parents who supported me the entire way through, especially my dad, who I'm sure would have loved for me to continue with baseball past the 5th grade. Instead, he let me quit and do what made me happy. Thank you. P.S. I'm not coordinated enough for baseball or any sport that involves balls anyways. Anyways, enough about my lack of coordination. I'd like to talk about the memories that I've made here at Cross of Grace. Now, I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but short story short, my dad was a member here and I wasn't, and now about 8 years later, I'm here talking to you. In those 8 years, I've made a lifetime's worth of memories. Pastor Mark could tell you all about the growth I had while attending his faith formation class. Or we could talk about the night I had a lock-in, I let my ego get the best of me by challenging Jordan Reed to a race. Hindsight is 20/20. However, if there had to be one memory that sticks out the most and has continued to stick with me until this day, I would need to talk about our ELCA youth group trip. I can remember how excited I was to go to Texas and just do a lot of fun things with a group of people I consider friends. For an entire week. About a year prior to this trip, Pastor Mark and Aaron had been taking us to these synod gatherings to meet and interact with other groups that would be going on this amazing gathering with us. I don't think it truly set in how vast our denomination is until we stepped foot in the Coliseum. I can't express the astonishment I felt seeing 30,000 others in one place to celebrate the one thing that truly connected us, which is our faith. It's our faith that we put not only in God, but also humanity that makes us Lutherans. Over the course of that trip, we had plenty of speakers from all races and backgrounds speak, each one with a powerful message that we had explored that day earlier in our activities. One speaker that stuck out to me, however, was young Rebecca Brusoff. Rebecca stood out for a number of reasons. For one thing, she's incredibly young and had the nerve to speak in front of 30,000 people. The other reason she stuck out to me, and so many others, is simply put, while this isn't usually a reason people, she had the nerves to be herself in front of 30,000 Christians. So often, Christianity is associated with hatred and discrimination while it claims to be the path to peace and eternal salvation. I think this is where us Lutherans, especially Cross of Grace, set ourselves apart. That night, as she spoke, the Coliseum was silent, with each person taking what she had to say. Later that night, Pastor Mark brought us into a room so we could talk about the speakers that night. I'm not sure if he was expecting us to be upset with what Rebecca had to say or simply what she was, but he came prepared for it all. Not so shockingly, nobody had anything to say. There was nothing for us to say, as Rebecca had said all of it for us earlier. That is one night I won't forget. I hope that part was as meaningful as I hoped it to be. I also hope it made sense. Moving on from what was, here's what I hope to be. I plan on attending Ball State this fall. I plan on majoring in business administration and either working myself onto the swim team or just working. I can't tell you this is all concrete and this will happen because honestly, I don't know what is going to happen. I've thought about it a lot over the past few months and the plan I tell myself is constantly changing and switching back and forth. I really don't know what is going to happen come fall. I do, however, know that I will have faith to guide me and my parents and friends and family that back me up. As my dad loves to tell me, God has a plan for me, so why should I?
Good morning. My name is Erica Long, and I just graduated from New Palestine High School. I have been involved in swimming, tennis, honor societies, and 4-H. As this video is playing, I'll be exhibiting my animals and representing the county as a member of the Queen's Court at the Hancock County 4-H Fair. Many of you have probably watched me grow up in this church where I was baptized, became an acolyte, attended Vacation Bible School, helped with Vacation Bible School, had my first communion, confirmation, and so many more. This congregation has become a second family to me as I have grown up. I have conquered stage fright through acolyting, improved my public speaking as a lay reader, and spent time away from my mom in my first years of VBS. I was a shy kid, so there were definitely tears. I enjoyed confirmation class and learning about the history of the Lutheran Church. I loved helping the little kids with VBS and allowing them to follow in my path. As I think back on lessons learned in VBS, Sunday school, and confirmation, I remember a consistent theme: love and acceptance. It wasn't about following rules and right versus wrong, but rather filling your life with love and to serve to the best of my ability rather than following a strict set of rules. My family has experienced a lot of loss over the past years, but it has been so comforting knowing that this community was praying continuously. Going to church meant finding comfort in the pain and being comforted by those who have also been through similar pains. Knowing I have a relationship with God means I am comforted through these pains. When my uncle passed away last month, I wasn't sure how to grieve. It was obviously a hard loss for my family as we lost an important person, but understood he was in less pain. My dad especially was comforted by the love in this congregation with thoughts and prayers that made things just a little bit easier. When faced with these losses, a lot of time is spent wondering, why them? Unfortunately, this is not a question that any of us can answer. However, having faith in God means we don't have to worry about answering these questions ourselves. We know that the end isn't really the end when we know that it isn't the last time we'll see them. Another thing I have learned through my time at this church is what it means to be a good Christ follower. Every denomination may have different answers to this, but I resonated with the idea that serving Him in any way you can is good in His eyes. It means remembering to love your neighbor as yourself, always giving people the benefit of the doubt, and letting go of grudges. It's okay not to be perfect, and it's enough to say, I'm really trying. Thank you, everyone.
So, I don't usually say much, if anything, on Senior Moment Sundays, but I wasn't sure how many senior moments we were going to have today because none of them let me know that they were actually going to show up this morning, for sure. The Knudsons were on their way to and from Oregon, so we weren't sure if they were going to make it back. So I had some thoughts to share based on driving around, especially yesterday after Friday's storm, with this gospel story in my head. I drove around my own neighborhood, of course, a little bit just to get out, and drove to Morristown and then all the way up to Whitestown and then back again. And along the way, I noticed, as maybe you did too, all the trees that were knocked down or torn apart or losing limbs or whatever. Noticed, my mic, one of the things I noticed about those trees is that the ones that broke or snapped limbs off most easily, it seemed, or snapped in half themselves, were the old trees, the tall trees, the more experienced trees, if you will, which means the younger trees, the more bendy trees, the more flexible trees survived the storm better than those old farts. And it made me think about all the things that these young people and all of our kids have had to endure over the last year with their changing school calendars, canceled events and activities, quarantine and COVID and contact tracing and all the rest, and livestock judging competitions, I learned this morning too. And with the amount of grace and flexibility and patience that they handled all of that transition and upheaval, I think some of us older trees could learn a thing or two from these younger trees. I also noticed that some of the other trees that didn't survive the storm so well are those trees that look really great above the ground, right? They've got lots of leaves and lots of branches, but they don't have any roots beneath the soil. Those Bradford pears that they plant in every subdivision in suburbia, you know what I'm talking about, right? They fall over and bring the whole lawn with them. And so I think that some of these young people could stand to learn some things from some of us older trees who have some deeper roots too. And so we all have something to learn from each other on a day like today when we get to hear from our graduating seniors and share our blessings and prayers with them before they head out. So I wanted to say too, thinking about this morning's gospel and Jesus in the boat with those disciples, them worried that he had forgotten about them or didn't care about them. They are in awe and marvel at his power over the wind and the waves and the sea and whatnot. And they wonder out loud, who in the world could this be that the wind and the sea obey him? And I hope we will wonder what it means to obey Jesus, like we're hoping and expecting our young people to wonder what it means to obey Jesus, right? And so I thought of a few things I hope that I would share with them and that we all might learn from too. What does it mean to really obey Jesus? What does that look like in our lives? To be still more often, like Jesus, sleeping on the cushion in the boat in the middle of the storm. Wouldn't that be nice? To seek peace always, to do justice and to find it for those who can't find it for themselves, to love kindness and to share it and model it for other people, to walk humbly with and in deference to God, not pridefully, not pretending like too many do that we know all the things or that we have to know all the things or like we could know all the things even if we wanted to know all the things, to find work that's meaningful because it serves other people somehow, to earn money, which is something we all want to do when we get out of high school, right? But to not earn money just for the sake of earning money, but for earning money because we can use that money to do God's work in the world. To worship even when we doubt, to sacrifice even when it's scary, to love and serve and extend grace and mercy and hope to others because someone somewhere along the way has extended grace and hope and mercy already to us. I think if we live this way, if we can practice those ways of obeying Jesus more often, we'd find ourselves able to rest and to be still more often, asleep even peacefully in the proverbial stern of the boat that is our lives in this world. And that we will and the world around us will be better because of it. What I didn't write down or plan to say to you was something that came to me while I was watching all of these wise, faithful young people speak at the first service, and that is how often they would show up, like little Stevie Raymond did, with the box from one Sunday to the next, and I or Pastor Aaron would try our best to make a sermon out of whatever they put in that box. And so I was watching them unpack their proverbial boxes of their faith stories today as they shared them with us. And I was moved tremendously by the way they can articulate all the things we've been trying to teach them and instill in them and share with them since they got here. One of the big ones that you missed, because Jackson's video was so glitchy, was that Rebecca, who he remembered from the youth gathering in 2018, was a transgender girl who showed up to the National Youth Gathering to talk to 30,000 other young people. And that, for some reason, is something that mattered and that Jackson remembered and that sticks with him to this day. And that is not something that young people in churches in our neighborhood, in our county, or all across our country get to experience in their churches or in the story of their faith. The most beautiful thing for me is how these young people connect all of that to this message of grace that we share. And I'm moved by it. I'm inspired by it. I hope you all are too. And I thank each of you for putting words to the things that we have been trying to say to you and share to you and teach you over all these years. Thank you. Amen. Let's stand and sing.
As we sing together, and we think about the storms that we might face or that our young people might face as they embark in life, we pray that they would also experience the flood of God's love in every step and every journey that they're part of.